Army pilot Captain Coulter Stevens suddenly wakes up on a train headed to Chicago. He's sitting across from this lady named Christina, who's calling him Sean. He has no idea where he is or why this lady is talking to him. He tells her he doesn't know who she is and goes outside to clear his head. But when he comes back in and looks in the window, he sees some other guy's face staring back. He immediately runs to the bathroom to check the mirror, and yep, he's definitely not himself. He checks the wallet and finds the ID of some teacher named Sean Fentress. Christina is waiting outside the bathroom and asks him what's happening. He tells her straight up he doesn't know Sean or her. Just then, the whole freaking train goes kaboom. But Coulter didn't die. Instead, he wakes up in a dark metallic room. A female voice over the speaker says he's with Beleaguered Castle. Coulter is dizzy and confused. This lady finally shows up on a screen and asks him about 5 playing cards. Coulter is trying to escape his seat, but the lady just wants him to focus on the cards. Finally, he recalls all 5 playing cards and remembers the lady's name is Goodwin. Suddenly, this guy Dr. Rutledge also pops up on the screen. Coulter demands to talk to his father. He also wants to know why he looked like a completely different person on the train, but they both ignores him and asks about the bomb. He can't give any answer. So she tells him he's going back in for 8 minutes to find the bomb. Coulter is convinced he's in a simulation. Goodwin still ignores him and says, "Find the bomb, you find the bomber." And boom, he's right back on the train. Christina is talking about taking some law exams and moving to India to find herself. Coulter ignores her and sets a timer for 8 minutes. He starts poking around and sees a young man returning a wallet to some dude. He suddenly remembers the blast came from behind him, so he bolts to the bathroom. He notices there's something wrong with the vent and decides to look inside, and bingo, he finds the bomb with a cell phone detonator. He starts talking to the ceiling, hoping Goodwin can hear him and give him some bomb defusing tips, but he doesn't get an answer. So he decides to leave the bomb there and pretends he's the transit security. He orders every passengers to turn off their electronics. Naturally, nobody believes him. One guy refuses to close his laptop, so Coulter punches the poor dude in the face. Then, boom, Coulter wakes up again. He still thinks he was flying missions in Afghanistan just 2 days ago, but Goodwin tells him that he's actually been with them for 2 whole months. The train he's been blowing up on actually exploded for real earlier that morning. Real lives are at stake. Everyone on it is already dead. Sean Fentress was on that train, and Coulter is basically wearing his skin. When Coulter informs where he found the bomb and mentions the cell phone detonator, Goodwin explains that there were 52 people making phone calls at that moment, and one of them is the scumbag who did it. Goodwin orders him to focus on the nervous passengers and sends him back on the train. This time, he skips the small talk. He asks Christina to look for anyone looks suspicious together like a game and tells her to sit next to him. Naturally, Christina is confused but agrees to play along. Suddenly, Coulter spots a guy leaving the bathroom and Christina says he's the only person she's seen coming out of that bathroom, which makes him think the guy must be the bomber. Coulter decides he's got to follow the bathroom guy and drags Christina along with him. They jump off at a train station and Coulter tells Christina to wait outside while he follows the dude into the men's room. He hears the guy coughing his lungs out in a stall. The guy leaves and Coulter is right on his tail. Coulter joins him on a bench and pretends to borrow the guy's phone. The guy just tells him to buzz off, so Coulter starts attacking him, demanding to see his phone. Suddenly, boom, the train explodes in the distance. The bathroom guy is not a bomber. The guy is understandably pissed and shoves Coulter right onto the train tracks. Coulter can't get up and gets hit by an oncoming train. Coulter wakes up, but it's freezing and the oxygen is failing in his little metal man cave. He's yelling for Goodwin, but she's not answering. He finds a toolkit and starts banging on stuff until the power kicks back on. Suddenly, Rutledge pops up on the screen. Coulter is all proud because he saved Christina, but Rutledge tells him she only survived in the source code and the real version is still very much a goner. Coulter asks what the hell the source code even is. Rutledge explains that the human brain has an afterglow like a light bulb. After someone dies, the brain keeps an electromagnetic charge for about 8 minutes. Sean Fentress was the best link because they're the same size and have similar synaptic maps. And source code isn't time travel, it's time reassignment. It gives them access to a parallel reality. Coulter is still convinced he saved Christina. Goodwin checks the news and confirms that Christina Warren officially died that morning. There's also a second attack coming to downtown Chicago. The bomber is planning to blow up a dirty bomb that'll turn the city into a radioactive wasteland. Coulter needs to find the bomber on the train to stop the second attack before the clock runs out. Goodwin tells him there's a loaded handgun in the conductor's compartment and sends him back in. Coulter stops wasting time and bolts to find the gun. He finds the conductor's compartment and grabs the gun, but then the conductor walks in and catches him red-handed. A second conductor sneaks up and zaps him with a taser. Christina asks what the heck was he doing. He asks her what would she do if she only had 1 minute left to live. He just wants to call his dad to say he's sorry. Christina tells him everything's gonna be okay and kaboom. But wait, this time he sees these trippy visions involving Christina. Then he pops back into the metal capsule hospital and tells Goodwin that the gun idea was a total failure. He begs again to speak to his father, but Goodwin still ignores his request. Coulter is starting to realize something is seriously off with his situation. He pushes Goodwin for clarity. Goodwin finally decides to stop being a gatekeeper and secretly moves aside to show her military patch before she sends him back in. Coulter wakes up and starts drawing a military patch that Goodwin showed him. He then asks Christina to browse the internet for Captain Coulter Stevens. Then he gets suspicious of a guy on the phone and starts rummaging through his bag but finds nothing suspicious. He then spots a woman with an Army Medical Center bag and shows her the military patch he drew. She tells him it's the Nellis Air Force Base. He borrows her phone and makes a call. He tells the operator Captain Coulter Stevens is asking for Dr. Rutledge. While he's waiting for Rutledge on the phone, Christina says Captain Coulter Stevens was killed in action 2 months ago. Suddenly, he starts glitching out and wakes up in the metal capsule again. This time, he asks Goodwin, is he really dead? She has no choice but to inform that he's not really dead. He lost his body, but his brain is still active. So Rutledge is using his brain for source code. The news hit Coulter like a truck, and the capsule starts to collapse. Then Rutledge pops up on the screen. Coulter is furious. He thinks what they're doing to him is illegal and inhumane. But Rutledge says the military court agrees to do this and tries to guilt trip him, saying other soldiers would love the second chance to serve instead of dying. Coulter hits back with the best one-liner ever. One death is service enough. Even Goodwin has to admit that's dope. So Rutledge tricks him and promises to let him die if he finishes the mission, but then he gets impatient and starts sending Coulter back over and over with zero rest. Goodwin has no choice but to stand and watch Rutledge torturing a fellow soldier. Coulter's exhausted and ready to quit. So, Rutledge plays a recording of his dad. His dad is heartbroken for losing his son. After hearing his dad's voice, Coulter tells Rutledge to send him back in. Coulter is not wasting any time. He goes straight for the gun and the bomb. He then takes the detonator phone out of the bomb and calls the only number in the call log to see which scumbag picks up. He sees a dude on the phone, but he was just talking to his wife. Coulter redials and sees a guy picks up his phone. A young man is returning the wallet to that guy. Coulter immediately follows the guy and sees that he's throwing his wallet back on the train. He checks the guy's wallet. He finally has a name, Derek Frost. But then, the train doors start closing. Coulter pulls the emergency handle and jumps off the moving train. He sees Frost heading toward a white van in a parking lot. Coulter confronts Frost and shows him the detonator phone, but the guy acts like he's never seen it. Coulter knew Frost left the wallet on the train, so everyone thinks he's dead and he's the victim. Coulter also finds a second bomb inside the van. Suddenly, Christina shows up out of nowhere. Frost starts shooting them both. He leaves them for dead and the train blows up anyway. Coulter tells Goodwin and Rutledge everything: the name, the number plate, and the radioactive bomb. Police finally arrests Frost before he can turn Chicago into a glowing wasteland. Everyone celebrates. Rutledge even got a call from the Pentagon. Rutledge isn't done with Coulter. He also doesn't want to keep his promise. So he orders Goodwin to reset Coulter's memory again for future missions. Goodwin reminds him that he promised Coulter he'll let him die, but Rutledge doesn't care. On the other hand, Coulter isn't done too. He begs Goodwin to send him back one last time. He is sure he can save everyone on the train. Goodwin is disgusted by Rutledge's actions, so she promises to pull the plug on his life support after 8 minutes before she sends him back in one last time. This time, he immediately asks Christina for a date, because priorities, right? Then he bolts to the bathroom and yanks out the detonators from the bomb. He steals the conductor's handcuffs and confronts Frost. Frost tries to grab his gun. Coulter quickly snatches the gun and handcuffs that scumbag to a rail. He even calls the cops on Frost using Frost's phone. Coulter also makes the most important phone call of his life. He rings his dad and pretends he's a friend of Coulter. He tells his dad Coulter is sorry for everything. His dad says he loved Coulter very much. Coulter is finally at peace with his old man before his time is up. He also sends an email to Goodwin. Then he asks Christina what would she do if she has less than a minute left with her life. She says she'd make it count and kisses him. Meanwhile, Goodwin becomes a total rebel. She locks Rutledge out of the room where they kept Coulter's body. She finally cracks open this high-tech metal pod to see Coulter. He's basically a human torso on life support. She then hits the off switch on Coulter's life support. The monitor flatlines and the captain is gone peacefully. Soldiers burst in, but they're too late. Rutledge is so pissed that he lost his human science experiment. But wait, the train didn't go kaboom. The screen doesn't go black. Coulter and Christina just keep on strolling through Chicago like it's a normal Monday. They end up at the Cloud Gate. Coulter realizes that his visions of Christina from the source code are the omens for his foreseeable future. The Goodwin in this new reality gets an email from Sean Fentress. He tells her that the source code is way more powerful than they thought. It can create entire new realities. He says there's also another Captain Stevens waiting at her facility right now and asks her to help him.